We spend a lot of time interacting at our computers, and still so many of us are rubbish at typing. My name is Dean, I'm 34 years old, and I type like this. I use these 6 fingers, but my index fingers do 90% of the heavy lifting. About 2 months ago, I finally started to learn touch typing.
Touch typing, as far as I know, the definition is just typing by touch. So typing using all 10 fingers without looking down at the keys.
You'll see when I'm working away like this, I'm looking down at the keyboard most of the time, then looking up to see that everything's right and looking back down. So that's a real slow process. And also it's not good for posture. When you're working at your desk, I'm constantly hunched over and getting this like neck down posture. It's not great.
The main benefit of this is that it is much faster than, well, not touch typing.
In this video, I want to share my process with you. There's also an insight into what it looks like for somebody who's more proficient at touch typing already, somebody far better than me, but they want to improve. So there'll be tips from both of us on how we are getting to what we want when it comes to typing. My immediate goal is to get up to 30 words a minute, hopefully within the next 2 weeks. But my more bigger picture goal is to try and get 50 words a minute within the next month or month or 2, depending how it goes.
My goal is I would really like to be able to type at 100 words per minute with like 99% accuracy. And that's kind of an arbitrary target. I mean, 100 is just, it's 100. But I also picked it because I know that it's possible to get your typing speed beyond that. I know that there are people who type at 120, 150, even 200 words per minute, but that's a pretty distant goal. You get diminishing returns, as with any skill. It's much easier to go from 0 to 50 words a minute than it is to go from 50 to 100, than it is to go from 100 to 120 even. And so I don't necessarily want to invest that much time and effort into increasing my speed beyond a certain point. But I think 100 words per minute is a good goal to hit. It does take some practice, and at that point you're typing faster than most people. It's a good efficiency gain.
Before I get into the step-by-step process of what I did as a complete and utter beginner to touch typing, I'd like to share a very practical tip, which I haven't done yet. And Shane will tell you all about it. It involves a can, spray paint, and this thing.
I learned touch typing, what must be like 20 years ago, basically so long ago that I don't remember exactly when it was. It took me about 3, maybe 4 weeks to go from typing with 2 fingers looking at the keyboard to a sloppy form of touch typing. It wasn't perfect, but I wasn't looking at the keyboard anymore. It was way faster than before. 3 or 4 weeks is an incredibly fast time to make that kind of progress. I've been at this for 2 months and I haven't really got there yet. So I've taken Shane's advice and I went to go get this. Got what I came for. He'll explain why now. I don't even know where I got this idea from, but I just took my keyboard and I spray painted it black. And so that I couldn't see the letters on the keyboard anymore. That's the only thing I really did to make the switch.
What are we doing, Dean?
We are going to go and turn this into a functional tool.
All right.
It's what the mask was intended for.
You done, Dean?
I also learned about the basics of where the fingers are supposed to go on the keyboard. But that's the main thing I did. I simply forced myself to learn how to type without looking at the keys by spray painting my keyboard black. And initially it was very frustrating, but I think I wouldn't have made progress as quickly as I did if I hadn't used this hack, basically.
Before you go and do this yourself, just make sure that you've learned the basics. Because although my progress was slower than Shane's, I'm glad I did that first, and this is why.
The stunt I did with spray painting my keyboard black, I think was really good to force myself to not look at the keyboard anymore. But the mistake I made is that I didn't insist on perfect finger placement with my typing. And as a result of that, I learned and ingrained some of the wrong moves to make. So some letters I would consistently type with the wrong finger, or some letters I would not consistently type with the same fingers. So for example, T, I would sometimes use my left hand, sometimes my right hand to hit the T key. And the problem is that you can train yourself into bad habits. You can train yourself into typing in a way that is less efficient and less fast. And so that is why I kind of had to roll back, and I had to lose quite a lot of my speed and start again to train myself to actually type correctly. So that was the biggest mistake I made, and I should have, and I could have saved a lot of time by really insisting early on to always hit the right key with the right finger and train the right moves right from the outset.
When I first started using 10 fast fingers, I would usually use my normal method and I would get up to about 40 words per minute. But the moment I laid my 10 fingers down to do the touch typing thing, I would get a fat 0 because I didn't know the first thing about it. I didn't even know where my fingers needed to be placed. I had this rough idea that A is somewhere in this region and M is down here, and that's about it. I couldn't commit to doing this. So the first thing I had to do was learn the very basics. The first step was touchtypingtutor.net. They take you through phases of learning. The first phase is just learning where your fingers get anchored, and that your F and your J, these two, are the ones that you're going to need. So they'll take you through a F, 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 F space, J, 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 J space, F space, J space, and those kind of tests until you get into using the D and the K as well, and as it unfolds until you learn the whole keyboard. I spent about an hour at this on my very first session, and I can tell you one thing, it was really fun. It felt like a computer game, like you were getting the combos to a fighting game. It was really entertaining, and an hour went by quickly. For the rest of that week, I easily did an hour every day because it really was entertaining. And within 5 days, I had mapped out the keyboard. So phase 1 was a walk in the park. It was a breeze. Phase 2 is all about getting faster. When you're going through the beginner phase, they really drive home the point that accuracy is more important than speed. And I just want to reiterate this right now. That is true in the beginning, and it is true even later when you're proficient.
Not too long ago, I could type at about 75 words per minute, but it wasn't clean, so I was making a lot of mistakes. It felt kind of fast, but it really wasn't that great. What I did is I started training for precision. So then I slowed me down a lot, but right now I'm back up to 65, sometimes 70 words per minute, but with 95 to 99% accuracy. And I'm not making these mistakes anymore. I'm not typing the wrong way anymore.
The last thing you want is to be reaching for that backspace key all the time. So it was a real important thing that when I went back to 10 fast fingers, that I didn't go for the 1 minute speed, but that I actually focused on the accuracy. And after my very first attempt, I got to a total of 5 words in a minute. And I was proud of myself. By the end of that session, I think I got to 7, maybe 8 words once. And that was good for day 1.
Slow is smooth, smooth is fast is just one of my favorite idioms. I really like it. And it applies to any physical skill, I would say, and even many other skills. It's about the fact that when you rush, you're generally not actually fast. You're not actually doing a good job. Like, it feels like you're going fast, but you're not actually fast. So that's true for pretty much anything you do. And with typing, I can tell that that's definitely true, and you can find that out for yourself too. If you type as fast as possible, you'll be like frantically rushing and making tons of mistakes, so you have to go back and correct mistakes and so on. So it's frantic and it feels fast, but it's not actually fast. And if you slow down and instead type at whatever speed you can keep up consistently, smoothly, you'll actually overall be faster. And the goal, of course, is to be able to type fast without being in a frantic, rushed state. Type fast while being relaxed.
The third phase is daily practice. I kept this routine up of putting at least 10 minutes in every day of going to 10 fast fingers and doing the test at least 10, 15 times. And yes, I was getting faster. After another week, I was getting up to about 11, sometimes 12 words per minute. What was better than the speed is that all of a sudden I started getting automated combos coming out of me. There was TS and ER and ED and GH would just happen without me having to really think about where they are. And I could feel this is definitely getting somewhere. Although the flow was getting better, the speed still didn't improve. I never beat the 15 to 16 word mark, and I was getting frustrated. So part of the process is I added in another practice every single day, and that was free writing. I would literally just open up a blank page and start typing away things like, I am typing without looking at my keyboard right now, and I would keep going until I'd finished a paragraph. Punctuation came into it, capital letters came into it, and I could see my progress in real time. Where I am right now is still stuck in a bit of a plateau. I'm reaching 18 to 20 words and I'm not getting past this, and it's very frustrating. I think the problem comes in that when I go and do work like emails or writing scripts, I'm going back to my old method, and then I'm only doing the touch typing while I'm practicing. I have to start forcing myself to bring the touch typing into my everyday practices. The next phase for me right now is to black out my keyboard. In about a month, I will give you an update on how the blacked out keyboard is working for me.
The keyboard you type on definitely makes a big difference, and I'm not a full-blown keyboard nerd, not yet anyway. I got this package, which is something from Kickstarter from a while back. A serious package with new keyboard. This is my hopes for fast typing finally. It's a lot of packaging. That's the one I've been using so far. I managed to connect it, and this is the moment of truth, loading up a typing test. That actually went better than I expected. So I was kind of thinking that, oh my god, it's going to be a disaster, trying to get used to a new keyboard, which is true, right? I made many mistakes because my fingers are just like trying to go where they're used to on another keyboard. But actually 68 words per minute at 94% accuracy, that's actually pretty damn good for a first attempt. So yeah, that's promising. This is a rabbit hole that goes super deep. Maybe we can, there's a Linus Tech Tips video where they test loads of different key switches. Maybe we can link to that. This gives you an impression of just how deep this rabbit hole goes. But at any rate, the keyboard is definitely important. And the main thing I would look for is, there's a lot of stuff to not put up with keyboards. If you have squishy keys that are kind of, or just, that wiggle around too much, and keys that just don't give you a clear feedback, a clear tactile feedback for the key press has happened. And also, if you have keys that are maybe stuck, or you have to hit them a bit harder for them to work, or sometimes you have to hit them twice and stuff like that, right? Old keyboard stuff. Just don't put up with that at all. It's costing you so much time. So that's the first thing I would say. I think a lot of people have old keyboards they've had forever, and they're used to the ways in which that keyboard sucks. But you have squeaky keys and squishy keys and keys that don't work properly and all this kind of stuff. Throw it out, get a new keyboard. Personally, I like keyboards with a short travel, slim keyboards, and that's because I've worked on laptops for years and years, so I'm generally used to that kind of slim, flat keyboard. But that's just a personal preference. And what I would recommend above anything else is to try different keyboards and see how they feel. And I have to say, I find keyboard reviews pretty unreliable for this kind of thing. And an example is, I'm using this keyboard right now, the Logitech Ergo something. It's a fancy looking, one of these ergonomic, wavy looking keyboards, right? It's just not a great keyboard. I don't think I've ever seen a negative review of this keyboard. If you look up a review, people will sing the praises of this keyboard, but it's just not a great keyboard. I'm slower typing on this keyboard than on many others, on many cheaper ones too. And so if you've never even considered this, And right now, you know, COVID times, you probably can't really go to a shop and try out different keyboards. Seems like a bad idea right now. So a good idea would be to try, you know, maybe buy 3 cheap keyboards that are different just to get a feel of how the keys are different and get a feel of what you prefer. I think that might be a better move than to buy one expensive keyboard only to find out you don't like that kind of key switch. So I think that's what I go with. You have to try different keyboards to figure out what you like. And also you can speed test, because you will find that just by switching keyboards, some keyboards will make you slower and some will make you faster.
If you've watched the video all the way to the end here, then clearly you have a vested interest in upping your typing game. I'd be interested to know where you are right now. So go and do a speed test and send us or share the results with us. Also, if you have any other ways of getting your typing up faster, success stories, share those with us too. And let me know if you've tried the blackout key method and how that went. That's all from me. I'll see you in the next video.